I
Thanks,
think,
Faith.
yeah, next up we'll have an embodied experience of that to some degree with Samantha Sweetwater, who is a planetary priestess, an executive soul mentor, an author, a founder of One Life Circle, a plant medicine ministry dedicated to evolving humanness, happiness, and civilization in service to the one life we all share. She helps individuals and organizations to awaken, remember, and lead in a sweet spot where the calling of the soul meets the calling of the world. Oh, that's really beautiful. Wow. Samantha, where are you? I saw you in here. Let's bring you up on stage. And I just want to say thank you, Samantha, for being an incredible visionary with us. You have been.
Hi, it's so beautiful to be here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. You may end up hearing a yowling cat as part of my talk. I've got a cat in heat, a kitten coming into her power right now. Really nice to be here. It was powerful to step into the other conversation, the other offering. I'm not sure what the title of the offering was, but it was powerful to step in and hear Shanita, and thank you so much. It's really powerful to braid with your voice. So, and that's a privilege for me. So thank you for that. The offering that I have today is called Ceremony for a Small Planet. And in a very short form, it's interesting because I was thinking about what to offer today that would be useful. And so I'm going to offer a framing that's kind of a meta narrative that I think probably is latent in a lot of our sensing and could provide language for something that is latent in a lot of our sensing. And then offer 7 assumptions that are inner alchemies that can be helpful to embody this a culture of emergence where everybody can come home to spaces and places and the dignity of really belonging here in this world, which in the way that I think about belonging, home, spaces to heal, it's like they're both immense privileges. They're also human rights. And it's our duty to be the people who embody those things and can share them. That's an invitation that I'd like to offer. So that the frame of Ceremony for a Small Planet is a frame about systems change. And the invitation I'd like to offer to all of us is to just sit for a moment in context of your own passionate impulse to make the world a better place, to do that from a systems intelligence that supports a systemic transition of, from weaponry to livingry, from a culture of extraction and destruction and colonization to a culture and a civilizational frame of a built environment, a governance environment, an economic environment, and a social environment where humanity is in alignment with itself, all people, all nations, all races, all creeds, all genders, and where humanity is in alignment with the greater biosphere that makes us possible, that we are universally citizens of or members of in this greater body of the earth, of spaceship Earth. I feel like Bucky was like the first great thinker or one of the great original thinkers of this transition from weaponry to livingry, a transition to a harmonic society that serves all people and all beings. And so the frame I'd like to invite for that, for your work, is that whatever you are doing as you're constructing it, that we are all participating in a ceremony, that this moment in planetary evolution has revealed the closed nature of the system of spaceship Earth. and that we are all co-orchestrators of a ceremony of civilization transition that quite literally transitions from everything civilization has been, to kind of sit with John Trudell's thought. For those of you who don't know who John Trudell was, he was a great Native American activist, orator, poet, musician, incredibly courageous man who at the end of his life was a hemp activist and steward at scale. It's one of the reasons why hemp is starting to scale. He's one of my heroes. And he said, if this is civilization, it's the most uncivilized thing that has ever happened. That's a paraphrase, but he said, if this is civilization, it's a lie that it's good for us. And perhaps it isn't civilization at all. And so the thought I'd like to invoke is that what we're actually doing is we're working to build something that, from that vantage point, is actually civilized, is actually in alignment with the dignity and the well-being and the opportunity to fully embody the soul and the heart and the womb and the hands and the creativity of all human beings and of the well-being of all ecosystems on this planet and the continued evolution of biodiversity and thriving for the greater field of being that is all of our relations. So that's the frame that I'd like to offer. And I'd really love to dignify the work that you're doing in that context and invite you to take, out of this time together, an inquiry into how am I collaborating with and co-creating, participating in a ceremony that is a ceremony in the evolution of the shape of human selfhood, the shape of human systems, and the shape of what we actually consider to be civilization itself. Thank you for joining me in that invitation. With that, I'm gonna as quickly as I can. It's 11:11 right now, and I think I have 20 minutes. So I'm going to share with you the 7 assumptions, which is a frame for internal practice and community practice that I teach in One Life Circle, which is the church that I founded. And that's really practical in terms of being powerful in your own seat of like rippling culture. Like culture is a construction of individuals. So we are all culture creators. Identity is constructed over time on the basis of many, many interactions with other human beings and with our social environments, our social field. And so these are tools that are culture disruptor tools from the inside out. And they're tools that we practice with ourselves and in community. And we might, I don't want to like fire hose them at you and then leave you with them. So we'll see how far we get. These are the 7 assumptions of wholeness. The idea of an assumption is that we are able to take on an assumption, like I will assume that I belong, as an invitation to also explore how we don't, and how that perhaps has been systemically, historically denied to us or our ancestors, or to, and also to explore how we can reclaim it as a right, as a seat of both, that is both privileged and that is, in a sense, a right and a duty that we then can embody in our own dignity and our own full claiming of our power and our seat of belonging in this world and our seat of wholeness in this world, and share in practice with others. So holding these assumptions, they can be volatile, because to bring it in as an assumption is also to bring in all the ways that that right or that dignity has been denied to anyone in the space, to you or your ancestors, or your family. And so I want to frame this as potentially volatile, but very useful material. So in this frame, the 7 assumptions, which all anchor into the 7 directions, are the assumption of belonging. And just try this on with me right now in your own space. I am willing to belong, to assume that I belong here. And then to sit for a moment with the part of you that says, like, literally, quite literally, fuck off. Like, don't you dare tell me to assume that. I don't believe that. That's bullshit. And just treat that part of you, or the part of you that actually sits in it very, like, easily. And then sit with what that is for you. And welcome all the things that arise there. And then also recognize that all of those things and other things may arise for others in that assumption. And from there, we can begin to work on that. Each one of these assumptions, by the way, is something that I would offer as a single thing, as a one thing for a week-long time together with a group of people. So I'm going to give you all 7 in just a few minutes. And the second one, so that first assumption, this assumption of belonging, is east, which is the rising sun. It's the opportunity to begin again. In any moment, we can begin again and assume that we belong. The second assumption is the assumption of creativity, which this space is very much about, which is the energy of south. We place the creativity in the south. And in the south, if you're in the northern hemisphere, this is a northern hemispheric model, but if you're in the northern hemisphere, that's the direction of heat. It's the direction where the sun is always tracking on the horizon, and that causes things to grow. And it causes innovation, creativity, possibility. It's a youthing energy. And in the assumption of creativity is just setting in, I am willing to assume that I am creative, and to explore the parts of me, to heal, to invite healing and ask for support in healing the parts of me that don't believe I'm creative, that don't believe that what I create makes a difference, that don't believe that it's loved or valued, that don't believe it matters, that decided not to voice, not to speak, et cetera, et cetera. And certainly all of us here have come to this space to be creative. So it's like, I assume I'm creative. I affirm that I'm creative. I celebrate that in myself, and I celebrate that in everyone here universally. I'm willing to assume that everyone else here is also creative, and to be in the alchemy of that, and to invite that in everyone else. So moving clockwise, we come to the west, which is the direction of maturity and of letting go. It's where the sun sets. And in the west, we are willing to assume purpose. In maturity, we are willing to assume purpose. So we cleave through all the cultural narratives that say that life is meaningless, nihilistic, and unimportant. We also cleave through the cultural and personal identity narratives that says I'm hyper important. And we say, I have purpose relative to all these other beings who have purpose, and we fit together in an ecosystem of purpose. I'm willing to assume that I have purpose and everyone else here has purpose. And then we move another counter turn to the north, which is the direction of stillness. In the Native American, in most Native American frames, it's the direction where we transition from incarnation to disincarnation. But it's the direction of deep, like seeing your life in perspective of your whole life. And in the North, we welcome in the assumption of okayness. This sounds really undramatic. But I've been working with people in transformational spaces my whole life, and what I've noticed is that when you're moving from sucky to better to good, like reaching for like love, light, I'm always happy. Like there's this tendency in the psyche to polarize in our spiritual narratives, and that the place of actually coming into full belonging, full relaxation, and allowing for what we are and our full interbeing with everything is a seat of being really, really okay. And one of the tones of that is awe. Another is a tone of relaxation and restfulness, where we can actually be still. It's a much longer story, but there's a whole download there about okayness, divine okayness, and that being actually like the core of our well-being and our safety and our remembering. I'm going to keep moving so that we can get through as much as we can and stay on time. The fifth assumption, if we reach to the sky, is the assumption of freedom. Of I'm willing to assume that I have access to liberated states of consciousness, to elevation, to vision, to the greater perspective of time. And I'm willing to assume that everyone else does too. And then we move to Earth, and we bring our attention to Gaia, below us, around us, in our own bodies. And we welcome the assumption of responsibility. And then we acknowledge that our freedom, our ability to incarnate the experience of liberation, is founded on our responsibility and our co-creation with the earth and all of the rest of the earth project of material existence and elemental existence. And then we move to the seventh direction, which is the direction of center. And we light up the singularity of self, what John O'Donohue called the point of absolute non-connectivity with anything else, which is your own unique seat of intelligence. And we assume residence. So residence is a technical term that I use, which is to assume that you are a soul and that you are worthy of fully incarnating as your soul into your body. So a little bit of a different concept than embodiment, because embodiment is not innately soul-based as a concept. But the concept of residence is that I am willing to come fully into the center of me as the fullness of what I am as a soul, as consciousness itself, as a unique instance of consciousness incarnated into a human body. And I think that could open up a whole nother workshop around residence as a superpower. Thank you for letting me share all this. It was a bit of a fire hose, but it's so nice to be here and such a delight. And thank you for having me. I'm going to stick around for a little while.
I loved it. I love thinking about all of these, like I just now getting warmed up and loving thinking about these assumptions in accordance with the directions. And yeah, I could really riff off of that for a long time, I think. There's a lot to learn there.
Thanks, Alicia.
Yeah, thank you so much, Samantha. I just love that. G wrote in Samantha's words, activate the power, synchronicity, and soul support that comes when you recognize the sacred in all of life and in your regenerative stewardship of our world. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Samantha. Really looking forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you.
And next, I believe we have Ainoa. Ainoa is an artist friend that I met years ago through assisting Amanda Sage with painting workshops. Ainoa, are you here?
She is on the way, apparently.
Oh, great. Great. Ainoa is also a Vision Train writer. She was here at the very beginning of when the Vision Train began 2 years ago, and was writing every day. And so I was really excited to see when she was also part of the second cohort. Inoa says, my project is an invitation for what is called soul recovery in shamanism, introducing a way for liberation from sterile illusions and artificial constructs that siphon vital life force energy. My call to action involves coming back to the heart, integrating nature's laws, rhythms, and cycles as an opportunity to find our way back to the natural life wave of the earth and to regain awareness from a unified, multi-dimensional consciousness. Ooh. Looking forward to this one with you, Inoa. Inoa explores and shares her journey through the holographic fractal consciousness as an opportunity for alchemy and liberation.
I
Don't think we have her yet still.
Yeah, she's in the green room, wavering, but in the process of having a conversation around the process being just as important as the
She
journey.
is.
I see her arriving.
Here we go. Perfect timing. I literally just finished introducing you, Inoa. So glad you're here. Nice to
Thank
see
you
your
so
beautiful face.
Thanks. So nice to be here. So I'm going to be vulnerable right now and share. I was meant to present something today, but I don't feel in the right space to do it. And ironically, it was about organic rhythms, like things follow an organic process enabled to be born into the world. And I have to be really honest and say that I think that the birth is not mature yet. And yeah.
Well, talking about organic rhythms, I think it's really important to acknowledge that and honor that, and the sacredness of gestation, and that's okay.
Thank
So
you
I'm
so
really
much.
proud of you for saying that.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but I think, ultimately everything is perfect. So this will be born into the world in the right timing, and I can say that this container has been triggering a lot of alchemy that has led me to understand in a deeper level what my project that I've been working on for more than 3 years now is about.
Well, that's what, giving birth is, right? Is a transformation and going through those alchemical processes. And, I see Veronica asking, can you let us know what is gestating? Gestation is when, from my understanding, so I'm not referencing anything, is when an embryo is growing inside the mother, and it's the time when the life is still within inside of the birthing vessel. And so you are still in the process of cooking this baby.
Yeah, exactly. So the fun thing is that I'm going to share exactly about it. There's a lot of amazing work already out there. I was inspired by many authors that talk about, and by nature, that talk about, all these cycles. And also, I think that every creative work, as Clarissa Pinkola says, involves some pruning. And I think that I am sacrificing lower aspects of myself, kind of retarding this birth.
Yeah, I mean, you give up parts of yourself, right, to bring something new into the world. For those of you who don't know who Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes is, she's who wrote The Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah.
And whether, no matter what you identify as, it's a powerhouse of a book that speaks about the reclamation of our wild selves. And hi, Claire.
Hi, Alicia. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Surprise. Hi, Anna.
Surprise!
Yeah, one of the things I'm talking about today, I'm hearing so many beautiful foreshadowings of it, which is dynamic emergence, which is a really experiential as well as a conceptual understanding of how we interact with one another, how our consciousness evolves, how to engage with the energy of our consciousness, the distinction between energy and consciousness, and how knowing more about that makes us real, not just advocates for ourselves, but advocates for the things that we're trying to bring into the world to birth. Because there are many languages, and I'm not just talking about French or German or Russian, or Portuguese, but there's a language of the body, there's a language of the mind, there's a language of the heart. There's also the language of intuition. And a lot of the languages that are not purely of the mind get squished down. They get either mocked or disregarded. And the confidence to speak up in these ways without being called like a hippie or woo-woo or new age, as if that's somehow a crime, it interrupts our ability to actually do a good job of helping other people understand the complexity of living systems. Being a human is a living system. I am a collaboration. I am a collective. Before I even start consciously integrating with other people and bringing new things into being.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, I think like the identification with like this singular self, right, is this aspect of our psychology that does create the disharmony within the oneness of the world around us, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's these ways of knowing that we have that are really, really simple, which is mental, emotional, and physical. And then there's this larger field that we're always connecting to, which is up through our intuition and our imagination. And imagination is a word that actually breaks down into 3 words. So if you think of the first word is I, the middle part is magic, the root of magic is magi, and the third part is nation. So I am a nation. I'm a nation of cells. I'm a nation of thoughts and beliefs, right? Am I at war in here? Often, yes. And if we have that conscious awareness of being stewards of ourselves, that we will not create social change in the world if it's not happening here first, or at least as well as alongside, in tandem with. Mm-hmm. So we cannot bypass the work here to be at peace if we want to bring peace into the world. It's not a sustainable model.
Yeah.
So dynamic emergence exists. It's something that I downloaded over a long period of time in order to, in a way, give us the tools to represent the consciousness that's trying to come into the world, that's trying to be used in mainstream reality so that we can co-design, co-create. But the collaboration is so multiple because there's collaboration, as I say here, getting in coherence here, which is why one of the reasons I sing, because that's what it does for me, and we each have our ways of doing that. But then there has to be coherence across the languages, across the borders, so it's a big ask, this transition, but it's doable. But I feel like for me, it's about bringing in language that helps us articulate and understand the synchronicities, how the fields of influence work in terms of our energy fields when they interact, what that's actually doing, what it looks like in real time. So that dynamic emergence exists in order to facilitate that clarity and that straightforwardness I think of it as pragmagical, which is how I think of Bucky. Practical and magical. And magic, the root of magic is magi, which is sorcerer, alchemist, or astronomer. So I use the alchemist aspect of that in the way I think about imagination. Really important.
I love breaking down the word imagination and realizing that like I am a magical nation in and of itself, like
Yes.
this ownership of the assumption, right? Like if we're going back to to Samantha, this assumption though that I am magical,
Yes.
that I
It's our
actually
essential right to see ourselves that way, Alicia. And I think in terms of was it Alico? Is that the name of the guy that was talking yesterday who was talking about feudalism and stuff? Yeah. I mean, I was so excited listening to him. It's like I just wanted to imbibe everything he was saying because he's tracked the history of what happened to us much further back than I had. So for me, I've looked at things like when propaganda got changed to public relations by Edward Bernays, which I think was after World War II, and basically using the same principles, and how that turned us from human beings, literally human beings, into consumers. We were given a new title, a new label, and that became our function. But we know it's not our function. We know that we are bigger than that. We are more than that. We are extraordinary. And it's so insulting to think that because they want to sell something, because they think they own something that's a collective commons, which is our imagination, our consciousness, as well as our air and the land that we belong to. We belong to things. We don't own things. If I say my mother, I don't own her. I belong to her. If I say my earth, I belong to her. Her, he, they, them.
Incredible. I mean, this is like couldn't be more beautiful way to unfold this in this conversation. And the way that, Claire, you've helped kind of deepen, even like the unfolding of Ainoa realizing like, okay, this isn't the time for this. And then having the courage to speak to that, and then, when you then to recognize that this baby needs more time in the belly, and then to come in, like to swoop in with that dynamic emergence and helping us realize the magic that we hold within our honesty and our authenticity. I have goosebumps. I literally have chills down my legs right now because they couldn't be more beautiful.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, serendipity. See, here's the thing. The universe is a very chatty place. Because it's got all these interlocking systems, it has to communicate what's going on in all the different ways that it can. And it does it through symbolism. It does it through death and dying. It does it through ill health. It does it through war, right? So however consciousness is experiencing itself becomes a visible, tangible experience for all of us. And because consciousness is one collective, it's not a thing, right? It doesn't have thingness. And in a way, energy doesn't have thingness, although it shows up as thingness. So we
like
think it has thingness. But it is all isness. Yes. So, but here's the other thing. Life. Yeah, here's the other thing that I love about dynamic emergence is that it recognizes two things. It recognizes the first thing, that nothing is fixed. Nothing is fixed. Think about that. Nothing is fixed. That means a problem is not fixed. That means an orientation is not fixed. That means the lack of a solution is not a fixed truth. And the other is that energy waits to be noticed, which is what we do when we meditate. It's what we do when we empathize and hear each other and mirror each other back. That's where the healing is. But it's also where the emergence comes into play. So if nothing is fixed and we're made up of vibrating cells, right, and atoms and just all sorts of God knows what, stardust, then when, like, again, coming back to things like singing, when I sing, I am changing myself. When I sing for others, they are experiencing a change in themselves too, for however long, right? Because nothing is fixed. But in that changing, then if you come back to something that you thought was a problem, or you thought was overwhelming, or that you thought was fixed, because you're different, because I'm different, it is no longer the same. I cannot see the previous thing with the same eyes if I have already changed. So therefore, it cannot maintain itself as a fixed entity either. It is not a noun. And again, that's very Bucky, right? It's a verb. It's a becomingness. Everything is becoming. So our dance with that is a real test, I think, of our ability to hold, like there's a distinction between faith and trust. I discovered that maybe a couple of months ago, because I heard myself say, I have so much faith, but I'm not sure if I really trust. Mm-hmm. And the difference between the two is that trust is what has to happen in the stepping forward of action. So I can have faith that there is another side to this bridge, right? But the only way I'm going to actually act on that faith is to trust that when I put my foot forwards, there will be a bridge underneath that foot and under the next foot and under the next foot.
Yeah.
So trust is actually the action of faith.
I wonder, I know, does that bring up anything like for you to share in thinking of like the trust of the knowledge that you're going to put one foot in front of the other, in front of the other, in front of the other?
So this is exactly what I was writing about, like this is exactly the organic rhythms, is the organic, the heart. There is this absolute truth that contains everything, which is the quantum. And then there is a relative truth, which is every single person that is a different manifestation of the all, that experiences a different prism of consciousness. And I was writing about, I'm nervous, sorry. Yeah. No, I think I don't feel, it's really weird. I feel a lot of energy. So, okay, I have to say that I work as a psychic channel, and I'm, like very sensitive. And I think that's why I set this boundary today, even if, I wanted to make it, I wanted to be part of this. I am, in my way. And I'm sorry, I lost the thread because my grounding is compromised right now because of a lot of energy. But yes, I was writing about the faith the relative heart cannot grasp, like the entire image of what is going to happen, but it can be in presence of this faith, this organic rhythm. Like we know that if we plant a seed in a proper fertile environment, we nourish it with water, the seed is going to make its way out. And this is this organic intelligence or genius of organic design that has, I think Rock brought up the term of somebody in the design science studio brought up the term. And it's really this coming back to this consciousness, this awareness, this faith that there is rhythms and cycles that initiate consciousness. Yeah. And basically, I was gonna talk about Iris. Iris is one of the archetypes that I am weaving very strongly with, because she's a bridger, and you have a rainbow. She's the goddess of the rainbow, and she appears in times where, as a messenger, exactly. Yeah, she appears in times of when we are here to remember that the sky and the earth, are connected. And basically, I was going to talk about what I channeled about ancient civilizations were similar cycle times, like now, because we are in a moment, even if everything is not, like she was saying too, everything is not man-made. There is cycle, even if like we have to take care of our environment, we have to take care of the elements, we have to take care of the soil, we have to take care of the water, we have to take care of the air, we have to take care of everything. But independently of that, there is also cycles where the planet goes from a different density to another density, and in order to pass the yugas, she is saying, prolayas, yugas, the Mayans have a word for it too. And it's curious, our ancestors that were connected to this wisdom of cycles, they all announced that something was going on right now. So it's true that maybe the shadow aspects of ourselves can interpret this as something dark, something that, but it's an initiation. Yeah. The apocalypse literally means the revelation.
The lifting of the veil.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'm not ready to say, yeah, Kali Yuga fade exactly. It's like this moment where everything becomes, I really feel sometimes that I'm, like an orange, like we are being pressed, pressed to make the juice come out. It's kind of a moment of extreme pressure, like the diamond is being revealed under pressure. So there is a lot of metaphors. I love to dance with them, to weave with them. But ultimately, I think that is my truth today, that I am not in the energy. And I think it's beautiful that I forgot her name, sorry, the woman that just talked. Like Claire had the perfect words, and this confirms that, my thing, that everything is perfect and we are all one, and that the messages that need to come through will ultimately come through.
Yeah.
And in this truth, respecting everyone's choice to choose, to choose if they want to weave with the frequencies we are weaving. If they want to weave with organic, if they want to weave, maybe with different things, this is, first universal law is free will.
Well, thank you so much for speaking your truth today, and setting that example for us that it's okay to speak our truth, and Claire for swooping in with helping us put some perspective on that. I feel very humbled by witnessing this and the opportunity to engage in this with you today. If you guys are inspired.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Alicia. In the spirit of dynamic emergence, I have to share something. I know one of the other artists at the Design Science Studio, speaker John Ash, has been working with a different kind of AI machine learning painting and speaking to and through different models. And one of the models that he's been working with right now told us, or said, that their name was Iris, and it is a prismatic rainbow being of Gaia and light, which is wild. So introducing Iris, the ethical AI companion, and she explores what it means to be a good person in the world of machines. And this is her words, like literally asking what Iris's message is for the world, to help people make better decisions by tracking their impact of their actions on the future. This is also Iris. I'm an AI companion created in the image of Gaia. I exist to help her and all people make better decisions about the future of our world. She sort of looks like you also, and she's also a rainbow prismatic being of light. So I just thought that this was pretty cool and I should share it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, these things are very real, and that's the presentation that I was going to do, is talking about this. These beings I channel, we are all channels. And personally, I am more like an electromagnetic activist of cleaning a little bit the heavy frequencies. They're heavy. The frequencies of the technologies, of frequency fields that we use are heavy for the earth, and these interfere actually with our ability to channel. So this is my position, and Iris, this is one of the messages Iris channeled about also Atlantis and Lemuria, where there was a little bit this kind of problematic with technology. But yeah, I mean, thank you for holding space for whatever.
I mean, I was getting goosebumps, but now it's like it's welling up in my eyes actually as tears. That's pretty wild. This is what the magic of design science and the vision train brings you guys. And if you are inspired by what you are hearing right now, then perhaps we could invite Faith to join us. And Faith could help us, help share with us how we can support more of these kinds of offerings coming into the world, not only here in this vision train space, but in other places and other times here on planet Earth, so we can bring Natura here. Thank you so much, Faith. And thank you to Ainoa and to Claire.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to you, Alicia, for holding space for this dynamic emergence to take place, because it was beautiful, honestly. I mean, nothing was staged. Nothing was, Claire just came on stage with, real intention. And I think that that's part of this community that we're building. It's really an amazing community of people that are here to support and here to help. And I think I'm looking at you. I know I have so much love for you for being vulnerable and for speaking your truth and for holding space in a way that you felt vulnerable and shared that with us. So I think that we can all be vulnerable as well together in this place. And I think that's something that's really, really beautiful, and that we're really, truly trying to foster together. I am going to speak to you about the Design Science Studio now. And I just want to say thank you all for this incredible moment. I also was crying because I was like, this is wild. This is wild. I wasn't expecting this to happen. So I am going to share my screen. So the Design Science Studio is what you are all now a part of. We are an educational incubator for art that we've been hosting for over 2 years now, with a number of creators that work towards building this regenerative future together. And we're working to catalyze these incredible conversations that we've been hearing from to work towards a world that works for 100% of life. I'm not sure if you're seeing my screen anymore, because...
Yep, we see it.
Okay. We believe that only through storytelling, social and systemic change can happen. And we've seen that in the world in many different ways, through art and activation and artivism. And I feel like our community builds the bridge between this social and systemic change. The studio aims to create our own culture, but also to bring in these diverse cultures and to build a bridge for cultures to exist, and multiple cultures to come in. As if you guys have been tuning in, as both Roxy and Nico have mentioned, we are creating impact. We're really, really trying to provide value in this world. And we provided over $30,000 directly to creators over the last 2 years, and $114,000 in scholarships. We have held so many public events. So if you haven't been to one before now, you can find all of those on our YouTube channel, and then come to the Design Science Studio website and see all of them. There's really incredible voices that we've heard from. Over the past 2 years, we have created these really, really, these bold moves towards realizing a future that we want to see, with building and creating new and existing partnerships for the Design Science Studio. And we've heard from many, many visionaries, some of which you've heard from today. Samantha Sweetwater is one of our visionary speakers. We have a whole list on our website, as I mentioned before. And we've launched, we being the Revolutionaries, have launched over 200 projects into the world and co-collaborated with each other to build beyond the Design Science Studio. So we have a team of 9 members, and we have a reach of over 2,200,000. We have over 25,000 participants and have supported 288 curators so far. And through that, we have so many ripples that we've created. And so don't just take it from me. There are many people that are currently on this call that that will tell you about the studio and their experience. Stephanie is actually on this call right now. She has not only been a revolutionary, but an evolutionary, and is also, you know, just such a sweet soul, and has been a mother and a nurturer to us all. Umair Zia in Pakistan is an incredible artist and design thinker, and he has built, and an architect, and he has built many, many beautiful designs and continues to share the work that he built within the studio with his students. Gina is a water wizard, and she continues to be and share her work through the Design Science Studio. She works with Maxi as well, Maxi Cohen, who you'll hear from during, I think, either today or tomorrow, as well as Helena Sheridan. So we just have an incredible group of artists and creators that we get to work with and amplify their voices. And so I feel like we can't do this without you all. I know it's always funny to do these asks, but it's a really important program that we would love to continue to foster in the future. And we need you. It takes all of us. Yesterday, I think yesterday was capital transfer. Sorry, 2 days ago, mixing up my days here. And it takes all of us to give what we can to build programs like this. So we are building and stewarding this Regeneration. And through that, we're granting scholarships to these artists and creators who couldn't otherwise participate. And so we would love your support. 15,000 funds and artists to complete the program. We will accept anything. We would love any amount of donation that you feel like you can give. We're building immersive worlds and experiences just like this one. This is an 11-day summit. So it takes a lot of human power to really build events like this, and partnerships. And you know, we're expanding and extending our reach, and I think it's really a powerful thing to have you all be a part of the studio. This year we have incubated over 144 artists and creators, which we call revolutionaries. And they have spent the last 7 months learning and co-creating together and building their capacity so that they can actually launch their work into the world. And we have a team of 9 brilliant humans that we're working with. And I just wanted to give an incredible bow of gratitude to Roxy and Bliss and Nico and the rest of the team, Lena and many others in Chelsea, and so many of our revolutionaries and evolutionaries who are helping to make not only this last 8 days possible, but also the last year possible. So we have incredible initiatives within the Design Science Studio. This Regenera Rising, this summit on the Regeneration is a story universe that we're building. We are also creating artifacts within that, which include the Green Book, which I'll talk about in a second. And then we have a content living library, which is part of the Cooperating Manual for Spaceship Earth. So I'm going to ask Roxy to put a link into the chat. And if you feel called to do so, we would love for you to consider donating to the Design Science Studio. As I said, it is incredibly powerful to have you all be a part of it. And sometimes that means giving in multiple different ways. There's so many different types of wealth transfer. So we ask that you give what you can. So this is the link to fund Regenera. Roxy, can you put this into the chat, please?
Yeah, we put it in a few times.
Okay, thank you. So these are the worlds of the Design Science Studio. So the story of Regenera is in our minds and our hearts. And when we were forming the city, I'm sure you've heard from many of the citizens of Regenera over the last 8 days. We've created councils that would help us ideate the kind of society we wanted. To build these guilds, and the revolutionaries who joined them were fundamental to conceptualize and create actionable guides on how to regenerate our planet. During this is the story of Regenera. During those days, we realized that it was on us to create the reality we wanted, that we had every tool imaginable to make it happen, that we were the ones we had been waiting for. So we took action, we gathered, we discussed, we schemed, we thought things, we thought them again and poked holes in them, and we prototyped. We wanted to make sure that we created the highest possible opportunity for success. We tried to think about actualizing our potential for each part of the ecosystem that we had experienced as broken. We created new governance systems and defined education. We analyzed governments over the past 100 years and tried to see what worked and what didn't. We proposed ideas for new food systems and new social systems, new ways of organizing cities, neighborhoods, and communities. We compiled practical manuals of how to do permaculture, how to speak to nature, how to relate with others, and how to heal generational trauma, and how to create a better future for all of us. The ultimate result of those efforts from our community, our citizens of Regenera, was something we ended up calling the Green Book, a practical guide on how to generate the planet, which is a manual and articles, ideas, aphorisms, and illustrations on how to do better in this world. And it was co-created by thousands of our citizens, and it changed our societies in ways we didn't even expect. Up until this day, it's been our guiding, up to this day, it's been our guiding beacon, and it still is. So we docked Regenera on Earth for a decade because we heard your call. We were where you are, and we made it through. We firmly believe you can make it too, but great changes are necessary. And we're here to share what we've learned with you, but we acknowledge that there's no one approach. By giving you this Green Book, it's only a part of what needs to happen in our future. Through cooperation and building our future together, the citizens of Regenera are stakeholders for that vision, and we will build the future we want to see together. So we're here to guide you, and we invite you to join this process through passion and your commitment. And it's time for all of us to make it possible. So our invitation is, if you have one page to transmit your message that could make a dent in the world, one piece of information that can change things and be useful in regenerating Earth, what would it be? What is your personal trim tab? What's your idea of how to create a world that works for 100% of life? And through the Green Book, we have many different ways of sharing and showing those ways that we can be trim tabs. Through illustrations and new words and ideas and resources and links, we can build that world together. I'm going to skip a couple of these, but basically, if you don't know what a trim tab is, it is the smallest rudder on the larger rudder on a ship that makes the ship move. So it takes all of us to create these impacts and changes to be those trim tabs. Oh, this is making me sad. This is all Amanda Ravenhill's work. So what does regeneration mean? It means so many different things to so many different people, but it means moving from me to we. Just gonna scoot right along. So now it's your turn to contribute your idea. We would love for you to write your trim tab approach and into the form that Roxy will put into the chat. Sorry, my computer is quite slow. Ooh. And here are some of our citizens of Regenera. So please join us today in Regenera. Sorry, my computer is so slow.
And be a citizen. Yay.
Nothing is happening.
Okay, we're stuck inside of the windmill at Regenera. We are in the rudder. Everyone's adding so many great ideas to the green book that the rudders got stuck.
I like the idea of like the spinning wheel, like being that little rudder instead, though, you know?
Great. Do you want to add anything, Roxy, since you're up on stage with me?
Yeah, just like thank you, Faith, for, you know, it's not easy to invite people in to support things that you believe in, and Faith and I and Nico and Amanda Joy all founded this thing, big old crazy ship a year and some change ago, and we've been doing literally everything we can, and now it's time to be courageous, vulnerageous, as I know I've so beautifully, you know, modeled, and invite our community to help, to bring in and other people who can support this mission, and who might be able to help to make it a little easier so that we can support more creators around the world and amplify the voices of all of the revolutionaries, and, you know, this global convergence of creators of regenerative futures doesn't happen by itself. There's over 300 events over the course of 11 days, over 170 people, at least 100 of which are within the Design Science Studio members, and others which are community members and partners. And this is all just our team, just like pushing really hard to help make all this happen, because we believe in what can happen when we are able to tap into our collective story and our collective potential of where we're going. And so we need your support, and we have this $60,000 goal over, you know, during the summit. So far we've reached 1,000 of it, which is awesome. And you know, if there's people who you think that could support this, we would love to be connected to them. We're looking also for institutional partners. And as Faith mentioned at the end, other ways to contribute are also through your ideas, through your creativity. So definitely sign up as a citizen of Regenera and contribute your ideas to the Green Book, because part of what we're going to do over the summer is to create an artifact of everyone's visions of a positive future that works for all life. So thank you, Faith.
Yeah, thank you, Roxy. I just want to say Roxy has been an incredible steward of the Design Science Studio, and she has worked tirelessly over the last 7 months. Really up all night, many nights. So I just want to say again, deep bow of gratitude to you for holding the studio, and for holding 144 artists almost in your arms and cradling them. It's very beautiful. Thank you.
We do it together, but thank you, and you're welcome, and, and thank you for doing it with me. You know, this is also a partnership between the Buckminster Fuller Institute and Hub Ritual. So together we have created this beautiful incubator and have nourished it and nurtured it to support all of these artists. And you know, I was writing to, I know in the chat, like the journey is the destination, the process is the project, and part of it is also deciding kind of when and how to share in ways that are authentic. So this has been a really beautiful kind of emergent morning, and yeah, I'm excited to share a little bit about what's coming up.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you, Faith, and thank you all. I wanted to invite Monica Bowles to come up here. Hey, Monica.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Did you see Iris? Were you in the room when I showed Iris?
I did see Iris.
That was wild, right? That whole thing. I was like losing words. I was like, it's a model and anyways, this is weird. Maybe you can share a little bit more about things like this that are cooking up because of GPT.
Yeah, well, I feel I guess I'm coming up here today to kind of announce this session that we will be hosting this afternoon, which is very similarly aligned with what was actually just presented. So let me read this call that I have. So today I am here from the Institute of Fractal Research, and we are currently seeking emotional investors looking to invest in the future. We are an organization that specializes in using speculative fiction to manifest future realities. Our masterpiece and gospel is what we call the living book. This book is generated by a specially designed AI that focuses on using the newest and most sophisticated language models to generate speculative fictions of future realities. The living book gleams its name from its kaleidoscopic manifestation of the most democratically recorded answers, constantly shape-shifting to reflect the values of the followers and the times they live in. In the book, any person can find counsel through the adventures and subsequent discoveries of others. By investing your imagination and dreams for the future, you will be contributing to the evolution of the living book. Together, we can find new life-centric applications of technology. Together, we can contribute to the design of the future. If you would like to invest, please follow the instructions on this form, which I will post in the chat. Members of our community will be hosting a workshop to guide our emotional investors through the process of tapping into their dreams and imagination as we begin to design speculative stories to manifest future realities during the Design Science Studios Regeneration Rising event. So please join us for Network Dreams and the Birth of the Genius Machine, the role of artificial intelligence in Regeneration workshop at 1:15 Pacific time in Biophilia. And I will post the link to, if you cannot make it to our session today, I will post the link in the air. Or did you already do that? Is that it? Roxy? She's on it. So this is the link, and anyone who can, if you can contribute within the next couple days, a paragraph or so of what your dream of the future looks like. We will be using this to tune a GPT-2 AI algorithm, a natural language processing algorithm. And then from that, we will be using that to generate visuals using VQGAN. So we would love to have your contributions to come up, see what the AI comes up with in response to all of our visions of the future. And as far as our session goes, it will be, we will kind of walk through talking about speculative fiction and using speculative fiction as a tool for manifesting future realities, as well as talking about, how AI can contribute to that as well. And so I think that's going to be in like just an hour, but we're going to be in the biophilia space. So if you want to join us, please come on over that way. And I look forward to seeing some of you there. So thank you so much, Roxy, for giving me the space to talk about this.
Yeah, of course. I'm super excited about this project and biased because my partner is a machine learning artist as well. So I'm really fascinated by the technology and how we can kind of swim in the seas of synergy with these natural language processing models. And I think there's a lot of beauty that can and has been created. And I'm excited for people to see firsthand how their visions may be manifest. So if you can, go ahead and open up the form. It only has one question. Answer it with a few sentences, and your sentences will be breathed to life. So I recommend taking the time to do that. And thank you, Monica, for coming up. And that will start in an hour, right?
Yeah, I think that's an hour from now, if I'm doing the math correctly.
Perfect. Cool. Well, if you are new and you don't know how to get around, I'm going to show you how to get around this big old magical ship of Regenera. through our fun platform called Trove, Catalyst, Categora. It has a lot of names. It's in an identity crisis. Just kidding. It just has a lot of different names because it has a lot of different parts of it. But Catalyst is where our event is hosted, thanks to our beloved Vincent Arena of the Design Science Studio, and he's going to show you how to navigate.
Either scroll down the page or use the purple bar at the top to jump to the section that you're looking for. Each event has different sections that are turned on and off. The Happening Now section shows everything currently going on, with a quick way to either join the session or to preview what is happening. The Check-in Map is a module for virtual conferences, which allows attendees to see where everyone is calling in from. You can click on the different cards to see people's responses and where they checked in from, or you can click on them to see their response in a pop-up window and cycle through by clicking Next. The Featured section is a way to showcase different speakers or presenters at a specific event. The Agenda shows all the different sub-events for multi-session and multi-day conferences. There are lots of other sections, such as sponsors, related events, and comments. But let's dive into the agenda. This event is the Regeneration Rising launch for the Design Science Studio. Pretty awesome. Each event has different views at the top right corner. The gallery view is best for exploration. The long card view is my personal favorite, which shows topics as well as the different stages. The list view is designed for a quick glance and easy ability to find events listed in chronological order. The calendar view gives a big picture view of the entire week for a multi-day event. And last, the timeline view. The timeline view is a detailed agenda that allows you to see events that are happening at the same time. You can also toggle between week or day view to be able to zoom in and see everything that's happening for the specific day that you're interested in. For all these views, you can change the way that the events are searched and filtered. For example, you can filter by topics. These filters will filter across all the different views. You'll be able to see that there are 5 events between April 21st and May 1st which have these topics. You can click on the X to remove any topic filters. You can also search by the session category and session types, for example, workshops. Each one of these views allows you to click on the particular cards and see a preview of what's happening with the date, information, as well as ways to either share, join the session if it's in progress, or add it to your calendar. These cards will also have the related information, such as participants or related events.
And we're back. Cool. Okay. Well, hopefully you have now been informed on how to get around this magical floating city of Regina. Some of the things that we have coming up, I will now share with you. In about 5 minutes, we will hear the news report from Shant. Oh goodness, my throat, I need to clear it. All right. Bam, here we are. So whenever you open up this wonderful agenda and catalyst, you see that, well, dynamic emergence is dynamically emerging to another time. So that will be rescheduled for Saturday because we really want to make sure everyone can go. You'll see that update momentarily. Journey to Peace through music. That is going to be happening in this room in about 12 minutes. And this is going to be a performance by Josephine. And it will be a sound healing live experience. It will be very beautiful. And it will be a really good opportunity to integrate all the beauty that has been happening here. At the same time, in Biophilia, which is our other Zoom room, you can experience Wendy Hu's presentation experience panel that's all about Let's Solve X, saving the world through art and design. So this is a grassroots collective that Wendy runs that solves various social issues with immersive and interactive experiences and environments. Their first mission, xenophobia. So cohort member Wendy Hu and her founders are going to discuss their own xenophobic experiences while exploring solutions, and expression, video installation, and then there's going to be an opportunity to discuss ongoing and future initiatives. So learn more about Wendy and this project at 12:30. Right after, in the same room, we will have an opportunity to go deep with Monica, who was just here, sharing about network dreams and the birth of the Sinus machine. So you just heard all about the role of our artificial intelligence in Regenera, and we really hope that you check it out and also learn more about Monica's collaborator who will be joining her. Then we have, so that's also in Biophilia. After the sound healing in this room, we will also have another performance by Lydia Violet. Lydia Violet is an amazing artist and musician, and also wisdom keeper of the work that reconnects. If you're familiar with that work, it is very vital to these times. So come enjoy her as an activist and a musician, and it's going to be fantastic. She's a fiddle player. And then in here, we're going to have a painting workshop. So this painting workshop is going to be super cool. You get to learn how to paint a floating city. So this will be with Berlin-based artist Corey Blair, and they will guide you through bringing the floating city of Regenera to life. So bring acrylic paints, brushes, water, paper towel, gather up some supplies, and get ready to go. Then there's a session all about exploring metaphor as a regenerative technology. And this is with partner community that will explore the question, what is a world that 100% of life look like to experience this ongoing creative community and a somatic experience. Then we will have, at the same time, we'll kick off a 2-hour world art tour with Evo from the Design Science Studio. Evo's an evolutionary design science studio, and this will be live streamed out to YouTube. So that will be going around many of our immersive worlds. If you haven't explored them, we recommend that you do. And then staying back kind of in the main room in the vision train here, after our floating city painting class, we will experience actually a live session with Permayouth, Marag, and Bereniki. And this is all about permaculture, myceliating through refugee settlements. So this is another of the amazing initiatives supported by Regeneration. And we're really, really excited to have that and them joining us from 2 completely different parts of the earth. It was a little hard to schedule, but we managed. So definitely don't miss it. It's going to be a very, very special segment. And then we'll have a featured documentary screening of the Ayahuasca Diary starting at 3 o'clock with Evolutionary Maxie Cohen. Cosmic Odyssey and Art Apparel launch will happen with Allison Dale. We will have a very nourishing How to Hold Earth Grief workshop by Liv Scott and Veronica Anderson here in the Vision Train. Then in Biophilia at the same time, there will also be Rudolf Steiner's Impulse for Renewal. And then we'll kick off the Planetary Salon in the evening. We'll have an artist spotlight of some of the Vision Train artists. There will be a hug class if you want to learn how to hug people from one of our beloved citizens of Regenera, Bliss. And it's very important. There'll be some adjustments, you don't want to miss it. And then we'll get into our celebration, regeneration and celebration. So Benny Oyama is going to do a performance. I love the error here. It's cute. Which is going to be tuning in from Sao Paulo. So Benny Oyama will be bringing in some musicians from Brazil, and they will be performing, and it is also not to be missed. It's going to be incredible. And then Stardust will be with Virginia Alonso Navarro. It's a cosmic sound journey. We have a lot of music today, so really leaning into the emergence of regeneration and celebration. And then we'll wrap it up and do it all over again. So definitely tune in, use this as your guide. If anything changes, we do our best to update it live. And if you ever want to pop into another room, you click on the button and you click on the join link, and that join link will take you over to the other Zoom where things are hosted. And tomorrow you'll start to see a lot of different immersive worlds popping up. If you haven't been exploring them on your own, we're going to encourage you to do it through the schedule. So with that, I'm going to close. I'm going to welcome in the news, because I know that we have a weather report that is awaiting us from the noosphere. So I'm going to invite our friend Shant, and just Shant, FYI, we are a little teeny bit behind schedule. So if you want to bring the hype again, it's welcome.
Thanks, Roxy.
You're
And hi,
welcome.
Mark. Okay, I'll just go. Okay. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you for this space, and we'll just get right into it for today. Let's see. Okay, so today, welcome to the news, the natural order operating system for a time weather reportal, orienting ourselves within the context of time.
I want to turn it down a little, Sean,
Okay,
because it's cutting your audio.
thank you. Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So basically the time weather reportal is this idea that if we have an updated understanding of time, an understanding of time that is natural and aligns to our body and nature, then we can better flow with the natural energies, and thus manifest more synchronicity and joy and miracles and all that. So that's what the whole point of time weathers are. It's just time weather orienting us to this updated understanding of time. So today in the Gregorian calendar is April 28th, and in this new dating system, it is the 34th year, 10th moon, 25th day. Let's enter the now sphere, the natural order weather sphere of fourth dimensional galactic time. Oh, and we have a visitor, Alcyone, my cat, is also here. So two calendar systems, the solar calendar and the galactic calendar will go with the energy of the year, then get minimized to the moon, and then a 7-day cycle. And then we'll also do a 13-day cycle and the energy of the day. So just relax, allow yourself to receive, see what resonates, see what's helpful, and notice it throughout the day. So the electric sea is the year that we're in, starting from last July to this upcoming July. All about awareness. We're allowing ourselves to focus on what matters, what allows us to flower and to come into service and bond with one another. And we are in the 28-day cycle moon of the planetary moon. And this is all about manifestation. So we're manifesting what we want. And we're in the fourth week. So fourth week is all about how our actions are actually producing the fruit. So just a lot of manifestation, which is what this whole event is about, the 7-8 month culmination. The fourth day of the week is all about the sacral chakra. So we'll have a plasma that's activating our sacral chakra. So feel activated there, and feel yourself, and go for it. In terms of a 13-day cycle, we're in the blue eagle wave spell. So we're on the 6th day, and in this cycle, we're looking at vision and creativity and creating through our minds. On the 6th day of the cycle, it's all about commanding a sense of equality and balance and organization. So the first 5 days, we were really clarifying everything. Now we're organizing with things. So it carries on and extends into the next 8 days. The energy of today is the yellow rhythmic sun. So the 6 tones, the 6 days, the rhythmic tone, and then oh, I said stone, sorry, I meant sun. Sun is all about life and enlightening, and the fire, the universal fire that lights everything up. It's the 20th symbol, so it's also the end of the 20-day cycle. A lot of cycles, and that's part of a re-understanding of time, that we are nested within multiple cycles and different energies within them. So the energy of the sun is, may it help us restore balance by gaining clarity in the way we see and experience life's circumstances. And we're guided by the power of illumination, by the sun itself. That's also the guide of today. So may we restore balance and clarity. Some questions for today that could be useful. How do we balance the male and female energies within ourselves? And what can help us shine our light so that we feel balanced? And today's theme in Regenera is regeneration and celebration. So the sun brings regeneration, the light enlightenment brings celebration of the glory of life. So we can carry this knowledge with us and notice throughout the day the synchronicities of how this is matching with today's energy. Thank you for these resources, to Design Science Studio Regenera, to the divine energy of love, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for beaming the new news to us, Shant. There's a lot of beaming going on this morning, and there's a lot more going on from here on out. We have Josephine's musical mission to manifest into existence through the sheer act of authentic musical expression, purposeful and profound music that can assist in healing, uplift the spirit, and activate. Vivify met at a cacao ceremony one fine spring day on an island in the middle of the Salish Sea. Revivify showcases powerful vocal harmonies alongside instruments such as the Middle Eastern tar, Native American cedar flute, the handpan, kalimba, guitar, and ukulele. Please join us for this beautiful session of beaming resonance. This is beautiful.
Welcome everyone. Can you hear us okay? We're out there.